Hey everybody, and welcome on back to Minecraft. Today we are doing episode number 2 of our survival terraforming guide. If I'm sounding a little nasally today, sorry about that. I got a bit of a cold going on over here. But anyways, what we're going to be working on today is we're going to be talking about rivers and waterfalls. Last episode we came through here and talked about how you can take basically anything in Minecraft and turn it into some amazing custom terrain really easily just by placing down a bunch of dirt blocks. We talked about how to outline all this stuff, how you can fill in the blanks, and how you can add a bunch of variation to it to make it look so much more natural, as well as talking about how we can bring this down into Minecraft terrain itself. However, today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about rivers and waterfalls. I am super excited for this one because we can finally connect up two different parts of our custom terrain up here. This side over here with our custom mountains, which we'll be touching on next episode, and this other side over here with our hills. We have had this blank space right here in the middle with just a stone walkway going all the way down it with nothing really to show for it, and this cobblestone dam right here blocking all of our water from moving down that way. So today what I want to do is I want to work with you guys here on how we can create an amazing looking river inside of Minecraft with only we're going to be using some coarse dirt, some gravel, and some dirt, as well as some stone and cobblestone, just kind of mixed it in here to get a bit of variation to this one. But what I did already was I wanted to come through here and lay out a little bit of a design for ourselves. So the waterfall is going to drop down here. I did expand this out to be 2 blocks wider on both sides, so we have a bit more room to work with here. Then we need to terraform that river out to make sure that that's looking nice down there. But what I was thinking up here for this river is that we can make it look like it's flowing, like things are dropping down farther and farther as we go throughout here, because we are coming off of a mountain, and all rivers in Minecraft currently, they are just flat. They're all down at Y level 62, 63, whatever that water level is, and they're all just flat rivers. I think we can bring in a lot more life to these by just every so often stepping down a block. So down a block right here and further and further. But with that, what we want to do here first is I'm thinking we kick this off into time-lapse mode and we get in a stone outline of what our tunnel, or like half pipe for where our river is going to be going through here is. So I'll catch you guys on the other side. Coming in here and building that half pipe design that I was talking about, we're going to start out by making the base of our entire river area 3 blocks wide. You can also see that we're bringing it down a few blocks as we have talked about previously. Now, we did come into a problem with this one here, where the sides of our riverbed, where basically the land is going to be starting, are a little bit higher than I wanted them to be. So we're going to have to tweak those a bit here and bring them down and smooth things out and be okay with a bit of a cliff face on the sides of this. Because it's a river after all, the water's going to be flowing through everything. It doesn't need to be completely like perfectly rounded. It's okay if some areas are sharper than others. It's totally natural for that to happen. And it really doesn't matter. If anything, it'll add more interest to this whole area here. But coming down into our final bits of it, you can see more closely what we're doing here is I like to, when we step down into those areas, don't just have it all step down at the same time. Add a bit of a curve to it. Make sure there's a lot of life and detail and just natural shapes everywhere. We don't want anything flat going on. You can see these flat walls that we have here on the side. We will be coming back and messing with these a lot more as we go throughout. And also we're going to be bringing in a lot of rocks to add variety to this so that we have reasons for this to be jutting out into the river more, not completely naturally, but there'll be a giant rock there so it kind of makes sense instead of it being completely smoothed out by the water, which I think is like good first initial steps here. I figured one more quick flyover of this area would give you guys a much better look at what we're trying to do here. There's so many different shapes and things going along with this area here. You can see us just staring there into the void. But overall, I'm really happy with what we have to start with here. Again, this is just the base plate. We aren't doing anything here concrete. It's just out of stone. We're going to remove it. We're going to be changing it in and out. But this is the general shape that we're going to be working with to start with. Obviously, we need to bring in our stairs and slabs and everything like that. But this here is just a good baseline of what we can do here. And I kind of forgot to move over to the left here. So we're kind of looking at some grass. It's pretty great, right? It looks really nice. But you can see coming into here, we kind of widen and out here at the end. But anyways, that's it. Now it's time to get to the detailing. Welcome on back, everybody. It's been about 3 days since the last time we talked. I'm feeling much better now, luckily, and I'm still a little stuffed up, but hopefully most of that is gone. We're also over on the new microphone now. All the new things are in for that setup as well, and it's sounding pretty great so far, in my opinion. Now, what we want to do after we have this whole stoneway cleared out here, it's looking much better. And oh my gosh, it is so nice having this thing done. What we can do to help mix this up even more though, is we can come in here with the blocks that are set in my hotbar right now. Cobblestone, stairs and slabs of that, gravel, coarse dirt, and petrified oak slabs, which we have retextured as coarse dirt slabs, which is great to use here. It makes it so much more usable and better throughout this entire place. So I like doing those up here across the top to help us have a bit of like a muddy, marshy base to the top. We can throw some cobblestone in there as well. Basically what we want to do is we want to start skinning this area up and bringing things in here together so that it appears to be a bit more natural. And this side over here, because everything from here is being so wide, coming into a smaller area, it's okay if we have that funneling in, kind of working with a cone shape almost, to make sure that this whole area here is better. I'm so used to my pickaxe being on 2 here. Tried to reorganize the hotbar a little bit to make sure that everything's looking better and more easy to work with and get all of our different abilities or items on our hotbar here. Abilities? What game are we playing? Different shapes for our stair blocks and all these different things that we can throw in here. We're able to really skinny up this area, and also using a bunch of things like our gravel here, we can start to add bits of texture in as well, which is really going to help us out here as we want to add a lot of this stuff here. What I really like doing across the bottom is making sure that it feels, 1, very dirty, and 2, looking like a lot of sedative is traveling down the water, because coming down from a mountain stream, we're going to be carrying a lot of dirt. We're going to be carrying a lot of different things from there all the way through here, mixing up this entire marshy area as the water's going to be moving a bunch and pushing its way down to the end. So it's okay to have some rock showing, but we also want to make sure that we have a lot of dirt. Looking at our texture variation on the inside here, you can see a bunch of this dirt, coarse dirt, gravel, stone, all that stuff that we're currently working with, as well as our seagrass in here, which we're going to be bringing in as soon as we get a bunch of the water in here, because that stuff wouldn't really survive without it. That being said, after getting a few more bits of decoration in here, just changing up the shapes of everything, we do want to start mixing things up even more, just really bringing in a lot of these different textures to make sure that we have this slope look to it that we're really trying to go for here. What I'm thinking is that in these areas, we do some coarse dirt, throw some more slabs on top of it, and then up in here, we can throw some of that cobblestone. I do want to figure out more ways that we can get some gravel in here. Unfortunately, I didn't make this thing too thick going all the way across, so that makes it a bit more difficult to get gravel in here, as it's also based on our different elevations and gravity and all that stuff, because it can drop through. So that's just one thing to be careful of. If you guys want to be using gravel in your builds for decoration and all that stuff, make sure you're building everything to be too thick. But this is basically the plan for now. Let me continue this stuff throughout here. I'm going to make it a bit more dense throughout here, removing a lot of the stone that we previously placed in. Probably would have been smarter to do that whole thing out of dirt or coarse dirt, but you live and you learn. I've been working on bringing this side in here, just going down a little bit until we get to this next transition point, because I thought it'd be a good way to showcase to you guys what we can turn a bare stone face over here, which is kind of boring and not really a whole lot going into it, into something like this. As you can see, we used a lot of cobblestone stairs and slabs in here, not so much of the cobblestone block itself. We're mostly using dirt and gravel for our full blocks around here, as well as some stone to make it look like we have stony faces in here. Then again, bringing more of that cobblestone in to try and make these areas look more and more rounded. I still want it to be pretty rough and leave a lot of spaces where we can throw that seagrass in at the end. And then the thing that I really want to show you guys is that we have this area where it drops down a block. And then right here, we're bringing it back up a half slab for a little bit. This is because something that I learned while actually fly fishing. I've been getting really into fly fishing with my dad, and we're going out on like trips every single summer, doing that with the family. And this is something that I realized, these are like the good casting spots for fish, is where you see like it'll be coming down, the river will be flowing, and then it'll drop down a little bit, and there's a big hole basically where all the fish are sitting down there, because all the food is coming over the top of them, dropping down into where they're sitting, and just basically they sit here, leave their mouth open, and wait for the food to come. I thought that would be something completely amazing that we could easily add into our Minecraft area. Now that we can waterlog slabs, you can make the underwater areas just a half slab deeper right when you drop it off, and then bring it back up, because it looks like the water's kind of cascading down. And maybe we can even pile up this area right here a bit more to make it look like we have some larger rocks or something along that side. Make sure it's even a little bit more built up. Whatever you want it to be, it's okay to add rocks and rocky structures throughout your river, especially when they're coming out of a mountain, because this is very jagged terrain up here. The water's basically worn everything down, but there's still gonna be some large boulders that might have been fallen off of like an avalanche or something and brought all the way down here. For another quick flyover of this area before we fill it all with water and hide all the amazing detail work we've done below, I wanted to quickly come through here and give you guys one last glimpse at what this riverbed area is looking like. You can see how much variation we have in this area. When you're looking at it from the top, when it's filled in with water, a lot of the stuff just kind of blends and melds into each other, so there's not a whole lot that we can really see here. So by making things a lot more sporadic and just kind of crazy, it still has a smoother look from above the water, which is really cool to go for. So if you're not that great with detailing, if you're still trying to learn how to do it, a great area to start with is actually working with rivers, because the water hides all of the mistakes that you might have. It hides a lot of just the random weird things that you're kind of dealing with. So luckily, we don't really have to care about those. Now though, filling this area in with water, speeding this thing up like crazy, what I do is I fill in the water one layer at a time. I go in all the way along the base, fill in that whole layer, then I come in at the next layer, fill in all that stuff. That makes sure that everything in here is a water source block. Everything being a water source block means that all of our slabs and stairs get that waterlogged effect to them, which makes it a million times better. Billion times better, whatever you want to say here. But one thing we are doing is that we're stepping this water down. Every few blocks, you're going to see this collapsing down another block. So maybe like every 10-15 blocks or so when we start. And then as we're going over the falls, we want to make that closer and closer. So here at the end, it's like every 5 or 6 blocks, it drops down another level. Now that we have our water naturally sloping down, we can get to the other part of the video that was very much promised for today. As I said, we're going to be doing rivers and waterfalls. We can now actually get to the waterfall part of the build. However, quickly before we do that, we can bring in some bone meal here very fast and just dot this along the bottom and bring in some seagrass. We don't want to make this too dense along the base of this and too much along the bottom, as water is rushing through this area. So it'll be harder for plants to grab a hold to the base and be able to live down here. So we only want to dot this every few blocks. It'll be very helpful if we make this much more sporadic as we go throughout. So something like this, and it also helps because I don't have too much bone meal on me, so it works out perfectly. However, now that we're in this part down here, we have an interesting situation that we have to deal with. First, what I want to be doing to help ourselves out here, just to get ourselves started, is I'm just going to be blocking up the water. What I want to be doing for this one, I think it might be best to do this through a time lapse, just so it's a bit easier for you guys to see everything going on here. And apparently I did a really bad job of blocking up this water, but I want to create some custom cliffs for our waterfall to fall down going over into this area right here. We have a few blocks that we can work with, and I think right now that water is not falling out of there. All right, that's much better. But what I want to do here is I want to have the waterfall fall down like 5-6 blocks, and then come out a block, fall down a few more, then come out a block and fall down a few more. As we can see with this one right here, where if it's just exactly straight coming down, 1, super boring, 2, it just kind of looks really dumb. And then the other way, actually you can see our salmon that spawned in here as the water's dropping down. Swim down, buddy, swim down. We can actually create it so that the salmon have a way of kind of jumping up and naturally being able to get up the river to breed in those upper areas up in the mountains like they do in real life. So that's something that I really want to follow through. Let's jump into another time lapse for the day and see what we can do for this one. Waterfalls are one of my favorite things to build in Minecraft. I find them so fun and so interesting, and you can just add so much variety to them here. What we are starting with here is actually using the water bucket tactic that I talked about in our last episode about how you can get down a block. Instead of building from the bottom coming up to the top, I wanted to build this one from top going down. Then we're just going to use a lot of smoothed out stone areas, adding a little bit of rigid roughness to it. So when we drop that water down, it doesn't just flow in like flat levels. There's a lot of variety to it and a lot of interest, which just makes this thing look so much more amazing. On the lines of adding in our waterfall here, it looks very cool with the water coming down across everywhere. However, we can make it look like this is causing a lot of spray. The way we can do this is by bringing in cobwebs every once in a while. The hard part about placing cobwebs in is if you place them in water or next to water, anything like that, and the water flows across, they just disappear and break. So what I like to do when doing this is actually just bringing some dirt across with me to help me have more of like a guideline for what I'm looking at. And I don't like going super overboard with cobwebs. A lot of people you'll see doing this will be doing like 2-3 thick walls of cobwebs going across the entire thing. And I think just adding a few little tiny details, well-placed cobwebs throughout this entire thing, as you can see like right up there where we have that one layer, it looks a heck of a lot better. It actually looks like there's some natural spray coming off. There's some mist coming off of that thing. Obviously at the top we don't want to have too many of them, which means we can bring a lot of them, we can bring a lot of them down here towards the base and make this lower area look a lot more dense with the cobwebs, and it should be pretty cool. I really do enjoy this one. My upstairs neighbors are tap dancing right now, of course, and I really love the look that we can get here with cobwebs. I used to not really use these too often, but now that I've been messing around with them more, see, that's what happens with there. We just lost a cobweb because we misplaced it. Bummer. But I love using cobwebs. I love what we are able to accomplish with these just by adding just a few of them in there at the bottom. It looks so so much more alive because we have that white cobweb and they're looking like a bit of a steam or something like that. They're a little bit hard to gather. You do have to go into some underground abandoned mine shafts to get a good amount of cobwebs easily, but overall I think they do a great trick. That's pretty much what I want to do there. I'm going to bring in a few across here as well, maybe 1 or 2 across the top, get this thing mined out, and I'll be back with you to finish this episode off. Flying back in here one more time, our river is now completely dug out, and I've been working on the cliffs over in this area to help tie that waterfall down into these rolling hills that we have in Minecraft itself. These things were very steep, coming down into our riverway, which was causing that area to not be flooded with water because the ground was so high up that the Minecraft rivers couldn't cut down into all of it, which allows us to come in here and dig that area out to get our water channel flowing through here so that the river and the waterfall can actually be going somewhere. And then we can come in here with some stone and create these weird like stone cliff type things. I use a lot of this style in here. It looks very cool. I think it gives a cool terraced effect. And it really breaks things away from being just that flat stone face that we have of our cliffs for our actual custom biome up there. And it helps kind of tie that stone feeling into the area. So that transitioning from here down into here with these coming, basically bringing in from that all gray to bringing in more green, 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 and then into all green and dirt and grassy stuff going out through this way is a great way to do that. I haven't done it yet on the other side, and simply looking down this way, you can see which really has that much better effect to it. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing with those trees in that area yet. I'm planning a little details terraforming episode, landscaping episode here in a little bit, which I think will be touching on those trees and things like that here. How to basically take vanilla trees and turn them into something cool and all that good stuff, and basically little details we can add around the entire area. So with that though, I need to get this one transformed into some stonified stuff like what we have over here, and I'll be back. And with that, we are now stonified on this side as well, and it's looking 100 times better, I think. Honestly, this is so freaking cool. I'm gonna do a last few bits of detail around this entire area, probably pick up that ink because I no longer have a squid farm on this world. Today we were able to achieve something honestly amazing. I am so happy with the end result here. I did bring in some custom trees here. I've built these in other videos before, so if you guys want to see those, I will touch on them again in a future terraforming video, but if you want to go check out those, go like 5-6 episodes back into our docks let's build and custom forest areas that we're working on there, and you can see exactly how to build those ones. Our waterfall here is looking insanely epic. Our water down here is looking great as well. I did bring in some detail bits underneath to mix this thing up here, and it's looking pretty grand. We went from basically something like this before to this, and I think it looks about 1,000,000 times better. Hopefully you guys found this video useful. Is there anything else in these types of videos that I could do better to better showcase topics and ideas for all of you? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments. Any other ideas you guys have for what you want to see terraforming tips on, guides for, tricks for landscaping, all that good stuff. Next episode, we are going to be jumping back to working on the mountains and hopefully finishing everything from here all the way down to there so that this area can look really freaking epic. And I am super excited for that one. Hopefully by then my nose will be all better and no more nasally sounds coming in here. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Before we jump out of here, we do have a commenter question of the day today. I did remember to grab one of these ones. This one is coming in from Oddish in a Nutshell. Great name, by the way. Speaking of mountains, you can try to build a dwarf-like village inside the mountain. I think it could be something a little different and original. So I do have plans for a giant dwarven build. What I want to be doing is right in this area right here where we have this gate in the wall that leads to nothing, is I wanted to do a large Nordic city up here. So the plan was to do a Nordic city here, and then in this area up here where our custom terrain kind of comes off the edge, I want to bring all of this over further and further this way, and then have these mountains like this guy wrapping around this whole direction. And then there's going to be a pass going through that area, probably be a lot easier to explain in another video going on in the future where I actually have a few drawings of it in my head because it's a little complicated. But the idea is, yes, we're going to have a giant dwarven fortress, something like from Lord of the Rings, from The Hobbit, like that style of dwarven fortress. I thought that'd be a great place to add in all of the automation and things that we need outside of what we want to do underneath our city. There I was thinking we could do iron farms and all that stuff, but those are getting changed in 1.14, so who really knows what we're going to do with those? Anyways, that'll be it for today's episode. Please hit that like button if y'all did enjoy, subscribe if you are new, and I will catch you on the fWhip side.